Good morning, everyone. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. Hope your Thursday is off to a great start already. You see the sun is shining again out there, but it won't be for long. We are expecting another round of storms later today. Let's get a look at your radar. Ultimate Doppler radar, you see some of those storms starting to, some of that moisture starting to head in from the west. We're expecting a third day of storms. Should get to a high of about 78 degrees before those arrive. Let's get you a live look at here you see outside our studios. Let's get you the current temperature while we're talking about the weather. Right now it's 76, the dew point is 64, so it's a little bit humid out there. Winds variable at 3 miles per hour. And let's show you travel conditions are okay right now. No delays at the airport, but it has been tricky travel the last couple days, so we'll keep you posted. Again, actually it looks like we'll get up to 83, sunny and warm, more strong storms today. Winds out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour before the sun sets at 8:22. We are seeing a significant number of power outages still, many of them in Bucks and Montgomery counties. While we tell you about that, let's get a live look at, see if our camera is working here. I'm not seeing it at the moment. It's going to show you Doylestown, but I think we may have been knocked offline in the storms last night. Not seeing that active, so let's get a nice look at the Cape May, at the lighthouse in Cape May there. See, it is a bit overcast in some places, not at all blue skies like we have here in the city. A little bit of fog to burn off before the sun starts warming us up again and perhaps destabilizing the atmosphere for some of those storms. So we'll get you a full look at weather in a little bit. In the meantime, I can tell you our Sabina Korea coast was out this morning covering some of the storm damage that we've had here. Bucks County cleaning up after Wednesday's storms, and because of yesterday's weather, all schools in the Central Bucks School District are on a 2-hour delay this morning. I believe I saw that some schools have closed as well. Emergency crews have been working overnight restoring power, removing fallen trees, and more. Here is Sabina Korea Coast's report from Bucks County.
Yeah, hey, good morning. So we now have the sound of generators being drowned out by the sound of chainsaws. The borough is out here finally cleaning up this massive tree that came down during this fast and furious storm last night. We also have a backhoe here. We actually can see exactly the extent of the damage that this tree caused. It was a big tree. It brought down a telephone pole, brought down wires, and it completely totaled at least 2 vehicles. This was not a dead or rotting tree as far as we could tell. It was the sheer massive winds and rains of the storm that brought this tree down. Greg's over there by the vehicle showing you how just one half of it, the back half, it was completely totaled. We did see the owners out here earlier just trying to figure out what to do. We took a drive around town as well. We saw a lot of trees down, a lot of them in some yards, people with their insurance assessors out trying to assess all the damage. We know that there's at least 23 telephone poles out, over 6,000 people across Bucks County who remain without power. We spoke with one woman who was out walking her dog. Listen.
We went to bed very early because we had no power, and we still have no power. So, we just hung out and ordered Chinese, had them delivered, and then went to bed. So I thought I'd come out and see what was happening. And we have, like, down by our house, trees fell in the alley, so our alley's everyone's Verizon lines are cut off. And at the Mercer Museum where I live, it's all, trees are down like this. So it's bad.
Last night, probably the biggest storm that I've seen for living in our house for the past 23 years or so, where it moved sheds that were full of equipment, threw the full trash cans around. And it wasn't that long in duration, but just the volume of wind and the amount of water was pretty amazing. So fortunately, it could have been a lot worse than it was.
Also, police in the area and other residents telling us it's the worst that they have seen since Hurricane Sandy, and they say that is no exaggeration. When you look at the scene here, you can see why. This is just one street. Actually, further down the street, past where that backhoe is, they have more trees and more telephone poles down. So a lot of cleanup continuing today. Back to you.
Thank you to Sabina for that report. Might have heard me clacking away at the keyboard there while I'm getting some other things set up for you. Forgot to mute my sound there, so hope you're let's get you you're looking live at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway right now. You do see some blue skies, but some humid look there. Again, we are expecting rain to fire up later today. Sabina did a good job wrapping up that damage in Bucks County. Let's show you a little bit of what it looked like in Macungie. This is Lehigh County dealing with its share of rain and hail yesterday. You could see it and hear it in this video sent to us by a viewer. Quite a downpour and hailstorm there. These are just some of the elements that can seriously damage your home and belongings. Let's get you also a look at Morgantown in Berks County, the Fox 29 drone team. This is still damage from Wednesday's storm. This drone footage shows the mess left behind in Morgantown. This is from Tuesday's storm. This is the cleanup yesterday. Trees taking plenty of hits, with many of them torn into pieces and tossed around. Several homes lost roofs and siding. People were thankful to see workers from the local Lowe's store who brought bottled water and cleanup gear. Police and other first responders went door to door to make sure everyone was safe. And this is before it rained again yesterday, and we do expect some more storms later today. As I mentioned, these are some of the elements that can seriously damage your home and belongings. Every year, about 17 tornadoes touch down in Pennsylvania. This year, we've already seen 20. Dan Riccado, our business expert, joined us this morning to talk a little bit about ways that you can protect yourself and your home and put things back together if you suffer storm damage. Here was his conversation with our Good Day Morning team.
Wind, hail, flooding. These are just some of the elements that we've been dealing with all week long. Now we're dealing with extreme, got up to 90 degrees yesterday. We've had tornadoes this week, and about 17 tornadoes touched down in the state of Pennsylvania this week. This year we've already seen, it's over 20 twisters. A lot of damage all over the state of Pennsylvania, especially in our area. So what do you do? If your home is damaged, your car is hurt, your car is just pelted with hail damage, what should you do to protect yourself and your money?
So we have our financial expert, Dan Riccado, here to discuss how to financially protect ourselves during this period of extreme weather. And also, what's the first thing you do? I think a lot of people don't know where to start. Who do I call?
Yeah, you walk out and there's a tree on your car, or the hail is So many cars have hail damage.
Yeah, waking up in Lehigh County or Bucks County, and you've got this damage to your car. What do you do? Well, the first thing that you want to remember is now you buy insurance for today, right?
Right.
This is the reason we buy insurance. There's 2 times we think about insurance: the day we buy it, and the day we need it. And today you might need it. So the first thing is you want to check your homeowner's policy or your renter's policy. Kind of looks like this. It's 50,000 pages of gobbledygook, but it's really important gobbledygook.
If you have purchased a house, you have one of those.
If you purchased a house and you have a mortgage, you must have one.
You must.
But a lot of folks don't have a mortgage, Mike, and maybe there's lapsed. Maybe they're underinsured. They bought it years ago. The house value has gone up. Maybe they've improved their home and they don't have enough insurance. So you do want to check that policy every once in a while to make sure that you're adequately covered.
Is there such a thing as specific tornado damage or wind,
Great question.
rain damage, flood, or hail?
So here's how it works. Most homeowner policies and renter policies cover tornadoes and the wind. It's really the wind that damages, right? So it's the wind that damages your structure or breaks through the roof or something like that, like these pictures that we're showing now. That would be covered, right? Floods, though, are a little bit different. If your home is flooded and if it's a result of the wind, you're probably covered. If it was just a regular flood, the Chamonix Creek, goes over its banks yet again, you're probably not covered unless you have a separate flood insurance policy, Mike.
So really, if you don't have flood insurance and there's flooding, then there's
correct. Now, if the flood was, again, the tree broke through your roof, broke through the window, floods the home, then you're covered.
Okay,
right?
because that's the wind that caused
exactly.
I got a weird one.
Yep.
The electricity's gone out.
Yep.
All my food in my fridge is spoiled. I had a freezer full of meat and all. Could that be covered?
Probably covered. That bison meat that you've been storing that's gone bad, yes. So once you meet your deductible, it's usually about $500 or maybe $1,000.
Yeah.
Once you've met that deductible, your food, maybe temporary housing if you can't live in your home.
Okay.
Those sorts of things are probably covered. You want to keep receipts. You want to take pictures of the damage, right? All that stuff just to make sure that you've got proof and evidence.
That's the key.
So
That's
what
really
about the
important.
folks who say, okay, my home's okay, but I walked outside and there's a tree in my car. Or the windows are all messed up, or there's hail marks, so some people just got hail.
So just to make things a little bit more confusing, your car is always a separate policy. So your auto policy is where you want to look at there. If you have comprehensive insurance, it's called comprehensive insurance, and you've interior damage to your car, you're probably covered, right? Those folks that are waking up in Bucks County with hail damage to your car, if you're like me and you're driving a 20-year-old car with no collision insurance, guess what?
What?
You're out of luck. Okay. You're not covered.
All right, one last thing. When you say take pictures, you're supposed to take pictures of the house before there's damage.
Ideally, you want to take before and after pictures of that Barbie doll collection that you have, just to prove that you have it and what it's worth, that sort of thing.
Nobody's going to do that. Thank you, Dan.
Yes, thank you to Dan for that, for those tips and that information. Something a lot of people are dealing with in our area right now. All right, looking at the Ultimate Doppler again, let's get you a look at your full weather forecast. Here is a little bit of a zoomed in look at Ultimate Doppler over the last couple hours. See that rain just starting to creep into the, looks like the Harrisburg area in central Pennsylvania. Your current temperatures, we are at 70s. 70s across most of the area, much of the area, southeastern Pennsylvania at least, and into South Jersey and Delaware. A little closer to the coast. Some places are in the 60s, but Wildwood's all the way up to 82. Mount Pocono at 65. Your northeast temperatures. See, we do have that warmth to our south. 82 in Baltimore, 84 in Charlottesville, 82 in Ocean City. And cooler temperatures to our north, 60s and 50s in New England. Your U.S. temperatures, 85 in Miami, 86 in Tampa, 83 in New Orleans, so 80s all the way around the Gulf Coast. Warming up, 50s on the West Coast. Phoenix and Las Vegas only in the 70s right now, a little bit early. Temperatures in the city were about where we were at this time yesterday. Along points, Trenton, Wrightstown, Atlantic City, it's significantly cooler, about 10 to 13 degrees cooler than it was yesterday, but most places are pretty similar to where they were at this hour. Wind's pretty calm. Single digits are calm right now. Not much to speak of by way of gusts. Do have some onshore breeze, it looks like maybe down the shore some points. Visibility, well, we could kind of see this when we were looking at, let me see if I can pull up a shot again. Let's look at Ocean City this time to illustrate this. You see the poor visibility in Atlantic City right now. Pretty good across most of the area, but that is a sore spot. And here's a look at that. This is a live look at Ocean City, New Jersey. The boardwalk, our camera atop Manco and Manco. Manco and Manco Pizza. Looking toward the music pier, it's a little hard to make out in this pea soup out there, as Sue Serio would call it. Here is your satellite view. And you can see that cloud cover or mist or fog in certain parts along the shore from about central Jersey on up. Here's a look at your national futurecast. And then here comes your local futurecast. See those storms moving in again tonight. Some rain, but we're clear by Friday morning. Staying mostly dry through Saturday. Saturday night, get some rain again. Carries over into Sunday. Sunday looks pretty wet there. Monday, we dry out again. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast from the Weather Authority. Sun to storms, 83 on Thursday for the Phillies' last game of their homestand. So we're calling it a 6 on our forecast by the numbers, because it'll be nice right up until the point where we see another round of storms. Friday, AM fog, PM sun, 84 for a high, 65 for an overnight low. Looks like a 9 on our forecast by numbers. A nice way to end the week after some challenging days of travel, afternoon rush hours, and humidity and storms. Saturday, mostly sunny, 85. We'll call that an 8. Sunday, pop-up storms, 79. Monday, sunny and nice, 75. Tuesday, sunny and nice, 72. That's a nice way to start the next work week. And a bit warmer, 80 on Wednesday. Nice sleeping conditions, overnight lows in the 50s toward the end of the 7-day forecast. Of course, you can check these conditions anytime. Get our 7-day forecast, get our video forecast, get our live stream and events, and most importantly, get location-based severe weather alerts as they're happening with the Fox 29 Weather app. You can download it in the Apple iTunes Store or the Google Play Store. Looking again there at the fog in Ocean City right now. Let's get a live look. This is another shot that's into us right now. I'm told this is the 9/11 Memorial Glade dedication in New York. Looks like they're getting ready to get underway. We'll try and get you there for some of that if we can. Also, understand that former Vice President Joe Biden will be at a Memorial Day event, I believe it is, even though it's a couple of days after, in Delaware. I believe that gets underway at 10:30. If we get a shot of that, we'll bring you there as well. Always try and get you out to any kind of breaking news or live events we can during our hour or more on Fox 29 News Now after Good Day. It looks like that ceremony will be getting underway soon. For now, let's get you to some national news. Democrats won't pick their nominee for another year for president, but President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden are acting like the 2020 presidential contest is already a two-man race. Doug Luzader has the story this morning from Washington.
Democratic leaders have been trying to rein in talk of impeachment, but momentum may be building today. Robert Mueller walked in and broke 2 years of virtual silence. And while he didn't exactly provide new information, it was a question of what he emphasized.
If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
That falls well short of the exoneration President Trump has so often spoken of. But he tweeted this: "Nothing changes from the Mueller report. There was insufficient evidence, and therefore, in our country, a person is innocent. The case is closed. Thank you."
Not a single new fact, no smoking gun, not even a single new nuance.
The Trump team brushed it all aside, but Mueller said he couldn't even consider charging the president because of Justice Department guidelines and suggested Congress could pick it up from here.
He has left a kind of vague and tangled mess, and he definitely said, Congress, you're the ones who has to sort this out.
The special counsel has clearly demonstrated that President Trump is lying.
House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler, who would begin any impeachment proceedings, is still noncommittal. But more and more Democrats are on board, including more and more presidential candidates now. But this is really a question for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who has a big decision to make.
We are on a path that we would hope that if it is justified for the impeachment, that it would be clear to the Senate as well.
But there is absolutely no buy-in from Republicans in the Senate right now, and nothing that Mueller said yesterday is likely to change that. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
I read you the toss for yesterday's story by Doug Luzader. Apologies for that. Obviously, he was talking about the Mueller report and the president's reaction to Bob Mueller's news conference yesterday. I believe I have some of the president's reaction from this morning I can share with you here. He was speaking on his way out to, he's headed to speak at, I believe it's the Air Force graduation today. Basically, he reacted to Special Counsel Robert Mueller's public comments on the Russia investigation. Those were the Special Counsel's first public remarks since being tasked 2 years ago with investigating Russian interference to help Trump win the 2016 presidential election. It stood as a strong rebuttal to the president's repeated claims that he was exonerated and that the inquiry was merely a, quote, witch hunt, end quote. Here's some of what the president had to say this morning.
Well, I think it was the same as the report. There wasn't much change. It was, to me, the same as the report. And there's no obstruction. You see what we're saying. There's no obstruction, there's no collusion, there's no nothing. It's nothing but a witch hunt. This is a witch hunt by the media and the Democrats, their partners. And it keeps going. I thought it was finished when the report was released, but it goes on, and to me it was the same, frankly, as the report. And he said basically it was the same as the report.
There you have it.
Robert Mueller should have never been chosen, because he wanted the FBI job and he didn't get it, and the next day he was picked as special counsel. So you tell somebody, I'm sorry, you can't have the job. And then after you say that, he's going to make a ruling on you. It doesn't work that way. Plus, we had a business dispute. Plus, his relationship with Comey was extraordinary.
Well, now there you have it. Cut in a little too soon there. The president reacting, some of his reaction to the Mueller report yesterday. I'm showing you Capitol Hill because, as Doug Luzader reported, Democrats are now looking at whether or not to begin impeachment proceedings. Meanwhile, the president tweeted, in addition to his comments there, Russia, Russia, Russia. That's all you heard at the beginning of this witch hunt hoax. And now Russia has disappeared because I had nothing to do with Russia helping me get elected. It was a crime that didn't exist, so now the Dems and their partner, the fake news media, says he fought back against this phony crime that didn't exist, this horrendous false accusation, and he shouldn't fight back. He should just sit back and take it. Could this be obstruction? No, Mueller didn't find obstruction either. Presidential harassment. So there you have some more of the president's reaction. It looks like the ceremony in New York is getting underway. Again, this is the dedication of 9/11 Memorial Glade in New York. Let's watch for a little bit.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, good morning, everyone. Since the 9/11 Memorial opened 8 years ago, almost 50 million people have visited to pay respects to those that we lost and to remember the acts of heroism and service that followed those attacks. Those attacks continued in so many forms long after the sun set on Tuesday, September 11, 2001. In the days and months that followed, thousands of people came to the World Trade Center site to take part in the rescue and recovery effort. They came from all over the region, from across the country, and from around the world. Some had friends or family. Some had survived the attacks themselves. Others were volunteers drawn here by a sense of duty or out of the simple kindness of their hearts. For 9 months, they worked tirelessly and selfishly around the clock under conditions that were grim and dangerous. Some searched for survivors and then for remains to bring a measure of solace to grieving families. Others cleared the site. Others distributed food and clothes and cared of the workers who had come to help. They showed the world what is possible when people work together with a common purpose. And like the heroes that we lost on 9/11, their selfless acts provided light that helped guide us through our darkest hours, and they allowed our city to rise again. For some, the end of the recovery was the beginning of an even more difficult journey of sickness and disease. Tragically, not all who labored so valiantly for their city and country in the aftermaths of the attack survived. In the years since 9/11, thousands of people have become ill or died from causes related to the attacks. That group includes many people who participated in rescue and recovery. It also includes people with homes and workplaces in the surrounding area who would not allow terrorists to force them to abandon their communities. It includes students at local schools, children and teenagers who were evacuated from classrooms during the attacks. It includes members of the FDNY, NYPD, the Port Authority and the Port Authority Police Department, and the Departments of Sanitation and Design and Construction, and all the city, state, and federal agencies who played a role in the recovery, along with all the ironworkers and construction trades and companies who lent a hand. And it includes volunteers from every walk of life. Many helped lead the fight to make sure that the federal government would care for everyone whose health was affected because of the attacks, even as they fought for their own lives. They truly are heroes. I was lucky to work alongside them as mayor, and we have lost too many of them. Today, we are dedicating this Memorial Glade to all who became sick or died because of causes related to the attacks, and to all the men and women who took part in the rescue and recovery effort that ended on this date 17 years ago. During rescue and recovery work, a central ramp allowed people in the work site. The Memorial Glade now occupies that same spot, I'm happy to say. And as you can see, the Memorial Glade includes a pathway through a tranquil clearing on the 9/11 Memorial Plaza. At one end of the pathway is the survivor tree, which was badly damaged during the 9/11 attacks. Recovery workers saved it and brought it to safety. It has since grown into a symbol of resilience and rebirth. In fact, seedlings from the survivor tree are now growing in cities around the world that have experienced acts of violence or terrorism. Along the pathway, there are 6 granite monoliths thrusting upwards towards the sky. Cracks in the stone were bound with steel from the World Trade Center. The stones and steel are a reflection of the strength that we have drawn from those who helped heal our deepest wounds. The Memorial Glade was designed by Michael Arad and Peter Walker, who also designed the memorial site. Many others gave input to help shape the final design. Friends and families who lost loved ones, people struggling with illness, those who live in the neighborhood, and those who commute to it. The Glade tells their story, and it is a story that, like the 9/11 memorial, continues to evolve. It must, because the effects of 9/11 are still being felt and being discovered. We have a duty to care for those who need it and to honor the memory of those who died. The Memorial Glade helps us to fulfill that duty. And I hope it will also remind people of the power of service and inspire them to give back in their own ways. And I would like to thank everyone who has helped to make this a reality. In honor of those we lost to illness related to 9/11, let us observe a moment of silence. Thank you. This is a day to remember and pay respects, but it is also a moment to celebrate the people who worked so hard to bring our city back and who set such a powerful example through their sacrifices and perseverance. We are eternally grateful. So please join me in applauding all the people here who contributed to the recovery at the World Trade Center site and all the members of the community who helped this neighborhood to recover and reach new highs. Governor Andrew Cuomo and his team have done a lot to support the Memorial Glade and to make it possible, and we are joined today by the counsel to the governor, Alfonso David. Alfonso?
Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg. Welcome, and on behalf of Governor Cuomo and all New Yorkers, let me thank all of you for being here today. I want to express my gratitude to Mayor Michael Bloomberg for his tireless commitment to this 9/11 museum in the Glade, to Alice Greenwald for her sound stewardship of the memorial, and to the hundreds of advocates, from Jon Stewart to the first responders to the labor unions who fought to make sure that this Glade became a reality. I also want to pay special tribute to the Pfeiffer family, Karen Pfeiffer, Taylor Pfeiffer, and Terrence Pfeiffer. Their brave husband and father, firefighter Ray Pfeiffer, responded to the World Trade Center on September 11th. He worked for months clearing the pile and then fought cancer, even while he actively lobbied Congress to pay the health benefits of first responders. Ray died nearly 2 years ago, and he will always be remembered here in this hallowed place. I want to thank the Pfeiffer family for being here today. Your sacrifice is our sacrifice. No one will or should forget what happened here in New York City on September 11th. It was a day of enormous tragedies, the deadliest attack in our nation since Pearl Harbor. Nearly 3,000 innocent people lost their lives here at the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon, and in Pennsylvania. Amid that day of horrific tragedy, we also witnessed great bravery and courage. While thousands fled towards those burning towers, first responders like Ray Pfeiffer, police officers, firefighters, EMTs, Port Authority workers ran toward the danger. Common sense told them to run in the opposite direction, but their duty was to protect, and they instead ran toward danger. After the towers came crashing down, thousands of first responders, construction workers, and volunteers combed through the site despite the toxic fumes coming from the burning wreckage. At a time when we see ourselves as a nation divided, it is important to remember these first responders did not think about themselves as Democrats or Republicans. They didn't see themselves as white or black or Hispanic or Asian. They saw themselves as Americans. And as Americans, they stood together, from rescue to recovery, to eventually clearing the last of the rubble. They completed their work months sooner than expected. And today we remember the day that they finished the job. May 30th, 2002, 17 years ago today. when the last column was removed to mark the end of the cleanup. On the first responders, we have some tragic numbers. FDNY, 343. The Port Authority, 37. The NYPD, 23. That was the death toll among our first responders. The men and women of the fire department, the officers of the Port Authority, and the members of the New York City Police Department who perished. More than 17 years ago, we still feel the pain and the loss as if it was yesterday. They sacrificed their well-being to help others reach safety, to find survivors, and to recover what they could. And we must honor them, not only today, but every day. We have to make sure that this space is sacred. This sacred site reflects their memory. New York State and New York City has contributed to making sure that this museum is a monument to them. And I want to say again, thank you to Michael Bloomberg for having the vision and the tenacity for making it a reality. We are all New Yorkers. We're all New Yorkers, upstate, downstate, California, New York, Florida, Illinois. We believe in each other, and together we will forge a path forward. Let this Glade be a place of solace and a place of hope to many. It is now my privilege to honor and introduce the Pfeiffer family. I would like to ask Karen Pfeiffer and her two lovely children to come to the stage.
You guys are good? Good morning. I came today to help dedicate the Memorial Glade in honor of my husband, firefighter Ray Pfeiffer, a man who used to say, "Do the right thing, even when no one is looking." My name is Karen Pfeiffer, and my husband lost all 12 members of his Manhattan firehouse on 9/11. For him, the guys were family, whether they had been in his firehouse or in another. Like so many of you here today, Ray spent the next 9 months searching and digging at ground zero, without being asked, without being told, and without thinking about the consequences. But there were consequences. There was illness and pain and death. And for Ray, that meant his guys and their families were in trouble. He was a first responder who dedicated his life to helping other first responders, to fighting for health care, to safeguarding their families, to making a lot of noise to make sure our country kept its promise to those who brought healing in the aftermath of 9/11. Ray was the best husband and father, so proud of his kids, always there for all of us, cheering us on, making sure we and our whole extended family were safe and taken care of. So I guess I shouldn't have been surprised that he did that for everyone he felt was family. And in his case, that meant a lot of people. That meant anyone who had worked on the pile, anyone who worked in rescue and recovery after 9/11. We lost Ray 2 years ago from what began as kidney cancer, a result of his work down at the World Trade Center site. I know many of you are suffering through your own nightmares. Whether you worked on the pile, lived nearby, or went to school in this neighborhood, lending each other support, even through the toughest times, finding strength and hope in one another. Ray loved being a firefighter more than he loved anything. And in a way, this glade reminds me of him. It's trees that offer shelter and reach for the sky, providing a place to sit and remember and be together. On behalf of Ray and our children, Terrence and Taylor, and on behalf of all the widows and widowers, I thank you for giving us a place to remember them, a place that honors the work that they did, their courage and their strength. What a beautiful place for our heroes. And Ray, like you said, do the right thing, even if no one is looking. And today, Ray, everyone is looking. Thank you.
At either end of the memorial glade are steel panels Like guardian sentinels, they stand watch, and they mark the entrances into this sacred place of honor and remembrance. Each bears an identical inscription, which reads as follows. This memorial glade is dedicated to those whose actions in our time of need led to their injury, sickness, and death. Responders and recovery workers, survivors, and community members suffering long after September 11th, 2001, from exposure to hazards and toxins that hung heavy in the air here and beyond this site, known as Ground Zero, and at the Pentagon and near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, in the aftermath of the terrorist attacks. Here, we honor the tens of thousands from across America and around the world who came to help and to heal, whose selflessness and resolve, perseverance and courage renewed the spirit of a grieving city, gave hope to the nation, and inspired the world. We'll now officially dedicate the Memorial Glade with a performance of taps. At its conclusion, the Memorial Glade will open for the first time. With deepest gratitude for all whose dedication and sacrifice have contributed to the sanctity of this site, it is my great privilege to invite this special community, the people who gave us hope when we needed it most, to be the
You've been watching the 9/11 Memorial Glade dedication in New York City. We're going to step away and take you to some business news and a few other stories we have from this morning's Good Day Philadelphia. At the moment, the stock exchange is pretty even, 0.03%, 8.35 points. Dow Jones Industrial average at 25,134 after a couple rough days. It dipped below 25,000 for a time yesterday, but right now the market's been in positive territory and looks like it just went back above even. So we'll keep watching that. Hey Alexa, mind your business. Users can now order the voice-controlled assistant to forget what it's heard. Tracy Carrasco joined us from Fox Business Network this morning with this story.
All right, here you go. He's going to say it. Be ready, folks.
Alexa, forget everything I said over the last weekend, please. Yeah, when she was in my apartment.
Stop it. So let's get to Tracy, because Tracy, those are the magic words. Forget everything I said.
Alexa, delete everything I said today. And Alexa will delete everything from midnight until that very moment. Delete any of the questions, delete anything you might have asked. And I think this is a great move because people have really been concerned about their privacy, about the information that Alexa is collecting on them. And so very soon you'll also be able to say, Alexa, delete what I just said. And maybe the command you just gave Alexa will get rid of it, remove it from the recording. So as we see more tech companies appealing to the consumers and their worries about privacy, I think this is a great move. Maybe some of the others like Google Home, Apple, they will start doing the same.
Oh, I wish this was in my real life.
Yeah, you could just tell
You
people.
know.
You know,
Don't we all?
Delete what I just said.
You want to say it to your neighbors or something? Delete everything you've heard. Now, do we have to say, is it the delete part? And also, does it have to be today? Or can we say delete the past 2 days or the past week?
You know, I'm not sure. I think
Okay.
it's delete today because it deletes from midnight until that very moment. So I think Alexa's still catching up on all of that, but delete today is...
So
maybe you could just say it at the end of the night
Right,
before
so
you
you
go to
can't
bed.
forget.
Hey, Alexa, delete today.
My fear is, what if you forget and realize there's something 2 days ago, and you're like, uh-oh.
Well, who's going to hear what I've said anyway?
The people, Amazon
Well,
people,
no
and their the computers, because they're logging all of this.
Oh, the creepy people.
Right,
at Amazon.
Tracy? Aren't they taking it and storing it?
They're not taking everything that you say, but they do take some of the things to use as samplings to improve Alexa's listening skills.
Which means they're recording and saving it, probably, because they have to so they can pick it out.
It does. Your Alexa device will record anytime she hears the wake word, which is usually Alexa. So anything that follows that is recorded and kept. But there are ways, of course, you can go in and delete it manually, but it takes some time. So now they've gotten this option.
Tracy, I don't know if you know this or not. Once I say Alexa,
you have to go.
How long will she stay activated? If I just go out and take a shower and come back, is she still listening?
That I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Well, we need to talk with someone. And how can they figure out how to delete all this so we can't figure out how to, like, delete text messages you sent? Once you send it and you want to take it back or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a step toward that.
There should be a 5-second delay on every text.
Yes. They have it for emails. You can bring back emails.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay.
All right. Thank you. I know we're going on a tangent now, Tracy, but
thanks, Tracy. I'm acting like Tracy's an expert on everything on Earth. What was I going to ask her? I had another question about this.
Maybe we should ask Anthony Mongaluza or one of our tech people.
We should have him come in.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Google woman trying to understand what's Google's version of this? Google something.
I don't know.
And you say, "Hey Google."
Okay Google.
Okay Google. Okay Google. Okay Google. And she's in some other country around the world, and they don't have a lot of technology. So they're videotaping her, and she can't get it right. She keeps saying, "Goo goo, goo goo, goo goo."
Google is a fun word to say. I will say that.
Google.
There you see the market's still almost even, 11 points up. Let's get you to two more national stories right now. The first is, we told you yesterday another hiker was missing in Hawaii. And now searchers say they found his body. 35-year-old Noah Kike Minu, was last seen alive 9 days ago, but his body was discovered yesterday 300 feet below a fall line in a mountainous region of Maui. And there was sad news last night, about former Eagles quarterback Nick Foles and his family. He had taken a personal leave from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He and his wife announced they've had a miscarriage. Dr. Mike joined us this morning to help us make sense of this tragic event for the Foles family.
You gonna go 40 on this? Okay. 7:33. You probably know by now because an alert was sent out last night. Our former quarterback Nick Foles, who's now with the Jacksonville Jaguars, has been on leave. We found out why. Personal leave. He posted this on Instagram. He says he and his wife have experienced a miscarriage now.
And they suffered it as she was 15 weeks pregnant with a baby boy. And she talks about what she was going through. And she thought at first she had a virus, but then she said she ended up going to the hospital because she went into labor, even at 15 weeks.
15 weeks.
And she mentioned that they told her that she had pneumonia of the blood.
So we didn't know what that was. I never heard of it, Dr. Mike, who's on the phone with it. What is pneumonia of the blood?
Well, I've never heard of it either. I think what they're talking about is the fact that she may have had pneumonia and then had sepsis. Now, sepsis is where you get bacteria in the blood. But it's very confusing, and I don't have any, I don't know any more than you do in terms of what's being put out there in the public. But it sounds like she had some kind of viral syndrome, which can occur in pregnancy and can simply be a cold, which is no big deal, but there are viruses that can lead to miscarriage. That's how serious a virus could be.
Well, she did mention, Dr. Mike, that it was an infection So maybe that's what is that what you're describing then?
Well, what can happen if you want to tie it all together, she had a viral syndrome and then got a super infection with bacteria leading to pneumonia, and you can get septic from pneumonia. And that can be very, very dangerous, certainly for mom, but also can be fairly devastating for a child during pregnancy. So, unfortunately, this stuff happens. They are people of faith. They are good people, and they will come back from this.
But isn't it, because you're right, we are learning more and more that more women are becoming open about what they've been through and kind of showing, because we've talked about how miscarriages happen often, but not a lot of women talk about it. So they're trying to take the stigma out of that and talk about it. But isn't the interesting thing with this as well about the fact that it happened at 15 weeks, and usually most of them, don't they happen before 12 weeks?
Well, it can happen any time in pregnancy, depending on what happens to mom. If mom gets a severe viral infection or severe pneumonia leading to sepsis, all bets are off at any time in pregnancy. And just to add a personal note to this, my wife suffered a miscarriage. It happens. It's devastating, but that's where family and love come into play.
Yeah, my little daughter, Jilly, had a miscarriage, and now she's had one child after that miscarriage now. We've documented your mom, certainly Alex, on this show.
Several miscarriages before me.
Is there a number one reason for a miscarriage? Is there something more than anything else, Dr. Mike, that you know of?
Well, we often hear about people having what's called an anticardiolipin antibody. That's where they have they have a blood clotting problem. It's an immune kind of thing. That's very common, but there are a list of reasons. It could be that the child has a congenital problem and it's just not capable of progressing through development.
Well,
There's a million reasons.
We just wanted to, because that pneumonia of the blood thing, we just wanted to get you on the phone. Thanks, Dr. Mike.
Sound different.
Love you guys.
Love you
right
too.
back.
And he mentioned that you have to have a lot of love, and she does. You know,
Oh,
that
my
if you follow them, you know they're a very close-knit family, and they also have Lily too.
And
so
Lily,
their daughter.
right, and strong faith.
Thank you to Dr. Mike for calling in to discuss that sad topic with us and help us understand what might have happened there, and our thoughts are with the Foles family. In Cape May County, New Jersey, a man flying a small plane crashed into the water off the coast of the Jersey Shore, and officials have now called off the search to find him. The pilot of the small plane is presumed dead after that crash off Cape May Point yesterday morning. Rescuers will not continue the search for his body. The Coast Guard says it got a report of a plane in the water about 100 yards from the Cape May Lighthouse around 11 a.m. The plane took off from the Trenton-Robbinsville Airport in Mercer County with no one but the pilot on board. 3 lifeguards with the Cape May Beach Patrol jumped into the water to try and save the pilot, but they only found debris from the plane. A woman who was on the beach describes what happened.
There was smoke out of the back, and he said he even hit the bottom of the plane with like a wave or the water, the swell of the water, and he kind of tried to bring it up, and he brought it up, and then he came down nose first, and that was it.
The State police say the plane is sitting under 18 feet of water. In Philadelphia, the search for a hit-and-run driver continues in the Olney section as the victim continues to recover. 26-year-old Donzel Taylor was hit Sunday on 5th Street by what police describe as possibly a red-colored minivan. He was seriously injured, even having to undergo surgery after breaking his pelvis in 3 different places. Both of his kneecaps, his fibula, and tibia are also broken. Now his family just wants justice. In Delaware County, Upper Darby police arrested this man after a series of purse snatchings. In one case, a 94-year-old woman was attacked. In another case, police say a 21-year-old woman was robbed and stabbed in the arm with her own knife. Police say 18-year-old Kamar Hawks cut himself on the knife, and they arrested him at the hospital. Police reached out to the hospitals to track him down. Police now say Hawks has confessed to the crimes. Looking for a cool new way to get around the city? How about electric scooters? They could be the next big thing, and we're going to try it out. That was this happened on Good Day Philadelphia this morning. Let's watch as Mike and Alex give it a try.
Now, what do you call the indigo bikes?
Mm-hmm.
You rent the bicycles, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, now we're taking it up a notch. Maybe in the city of Philadelphia. These are basically motorized, like little razor scooters, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're in different cities all over the U.S. But earlier this month, the Pennsylvania House, they passed a bill to legalize them in Pennsylvania. The Senate is next, so it's still not legal here. But if that obstacle is cleared, we could see hearings here in Philadelphia to take comments and address concerns, because we mentioned they're in other cities around the country, but there are some people who say they have some concerns about it.
Well, I'm glad we're doing this because I was out in Denver, Thomas, visiting my daughter, and there's these little scooters strewn throughout downtown Denver. How does it work?
Yeah, it really is amazing. You kind of look all over the place or on the sidewalks. Not only Denver, San Francisco, I was down in Washington, D.C. I saw them as well. You mentioned the bike program. Last year, they were used 670,000 times, so there's definitely a need for these little green and white machines. The only problem, we mentioned this, they're not legal on the street or even on the sidewalks, but one company is hoping to change that. That company is Lime. Sherry Shapiro, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Are you happy with the progress so far to get these little green machines here to Philly?
I'm very optimistic. We have had indication that the state bill is moving well, and then it's a matter of getting the city to work with us to authorize it.
It's inching along, so let's look at the machine. This is the Lime 3.0. Take me through the process. How does this work? What are we looking at?
Absolutely. So when this opens with an app, just like an Uber app, you would find a Lime scooter near you. Then there's a QR code, a little black and white code here. You scan that code and it unlocks the scooter. Then you put on your helmet. As you push it forward, you push off a couple times like you would a kid's razor scooter. And then you press down the accelerator, and the brake is here.
Is there a tutorial online? You know, because one of the consequences you're looking at, do you know how to use it? You're riding around the streets of Philadelphia.
Not only is there a tutorial online, there's also a tutorial the first time you enter the app. And whenever we come into a city, we do events like this to educate the community, not just people who are going to be riding them, but also people who are going to see them around.
All right, I'm going to take this on a quick stroll right here, Sherry. I'm going to go over to Councilman Derek Green, who's standing by here. So basically, as you mentioned, you kick off on the scooter and you just hit the gas and you're ready to go. It's $1 to activate and 29 cents per minute. Councilman Derek Green, good morning to you. Great to have you with us. So you've been watching this program. I don't know about that, but you've been watching this program very closely, seeing how it works. Is this right for the city?
I think it's a good opportunity for the city of Philadelphia. As an at-large member of City Council, it's important to bring new ideas to the city of Philadelphia. I'm very active in the National League of Cities, and when I go to other cities like LA and DC, I see electric scooters. And anything we can do to reduce transportation and congestion in our city, you know, we have an issue with climate change, and I think electric scooters is an opportunity to address that issue, as well as provide a opportunity for people to get transportation at a low cost.
Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly here. A lot of people are saying this just isn't safe on the streets of Philadelphia. We have people who aren't wearing their helmets. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have the proper training. We've heard of accidents. We've heard of these scooters being stolen and then just left right there on the sidewalk.
Well, one of the issues I've seen in other cities, and we're trying to address that here in the city of Philadelphia, and also there's legislation in Harrisburg to address a lot of those issues. But the key is safety. Just like you have a helmet on, you know, when I was younger, when people rode bikes, they didn't wear helmets. Now almost everyone wears a helmet to ride a bike. You should do the same thing with electric scooters. And this is another opportunity for transportation in the city of Philadelphia to provide opportunities for people to get around in our great city.
Real quick, how close are we to seeing this as a reality?
Well, the legislation is in Harrisburg now. We hope to see it getting passed by the end of this session, and then hopefully we'll be able to bring electric scooters to the city of Philadelphia and throughout the entire Commonwealth.
And you're going to be hammering out all of the safety, the permits, all that stuff. Councilman, I appreciate it. Can you do me a favor? Hold my microphone while I take this for a final stroll. Appreciate your time this morning. You can just take over there. So once again, if you want to test this out, Lime is going to be available here at City Hall until 6:30 tonight, and they're going to give you some free rides. Mike and Alex, you decide for yourself if this is the right mode of transportation.
They're going to have a lot of takers today. Go over there and
to
give
at least
it a shot.
try it.
Yeah. All right, Thomas, great job.
Hey, let's get you to at least one more story this morning. It's no longer a galaxy far, far away. Your Jedi dreams come true in less than 24 hours. Good Day Philadelphia took you live this morning to Disneyland's new Star Wars theme park, Galaxy's Edge.
I know you go down to Disney World all the time right there in Orlando, Florida. Listen to this, something new is coming. It's going to start at Disneyland, though, in Southern California. This is ambitious.
It's called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It's a 14-acre attraction featuring rides, lightsabers, food, and a whole lot more. They say it's like it transports you into the Star Wars world.
Well, Ashley's lucky. She's already there. Hi, Ashley.
Good morning, Mike and Alex, or as they say here on Batu, bright suns. Yes, they have their own language. It is very immersive. There's everything you see, everything you do, what you can buy here is what you would buy in the universe of Star Wars, the galaxy far, far away, not so far away. So we checked it all out for you on this planet, which is on the edge of wild space.
Most of our inhabitants are Batuans, and they're the locals, and they run our shops, and they run our restaurants. We've had a little bit of a separate group that has landed and kind of infiltrated a bit, and it's the friends behind me, I believe, here.
Unique eats and treats in a galaxy far, far away include on-the-go snacks, sit-down meals, and legendary beverages.
You've heard of Blue Milk, right?
Of course I've heard of Blue Milk.
What do you think? Peculiar flavors? Exciting flavors?
Exciting flavors. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Tastes blue. No,
Tastes blue.
It's great. There's intergalactic shopping, workshops to build your own lightsabers and droids, or you can just say hi to a familiar robot along your travels. And the piece de resistance, the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, a ride on the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy.
All right.
So that was so much fun, and you are controlling it. So I hope I did a good job. You would have to ask my team, but it regardless was a lot of fun. That is the main attraction ride right now. There's another ride that will be opening later on, Rise of the Resistance. So I don't know, maybe we'll have to come back for that, right?
Yeah, you may have mentioned this, but I was watching your reaction to drinking blue milk or whatever it was. When does this, if they're going to do this same thing at Disney World where our folks here on the East Coast go, do you know when that opens?
Yes, August 29th, that opens in Disney World. So it is supposed to be the same layout, the same 14 acres design, the same immersive experiences. So that'll be opening later this summer. So you can go to Orlando and check it out.
Sure. Very nice. But even though it opens on that date, isn't it hard to get in? I heard there was like a waiting list.
You heard there, say that again, sorry?
Isn't there a waiting list, or I'm sure it's hard to get in?
Yes. So there is. So at first there were reservations for the first 3 weeks, and for those they sold out in 2 hours. And after that, June 24th, you can just have a park pass, Disneyland Park Pass, and that'll get you admission into the land. And at first they are limiting people to 4-hour windows because they are expecting really big crowds. They may even have some of these stormtroopers helping to escort you out if you overstay a little too long. So that's how they're going to be doing it in the beginning. Yes.
All right. Speaking of that, for your next TV station that you're going to do a report for, tell the stormtroopers they need to move over a little bit more to get in your shot. All we see is their arm.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I will tell them. I'll tell them to come over and join me. Absolutely.
Are there any other Star Wars folks walking around there that we need to see?
Are there any more Star Wars attractions? Tell me that, ask me that again, sorry.
The stormtroopers there, I didn't know if any, and what else was there, like R2-D2 or something?
Yes. You might actually see, so you're going to see some appearances. Kylo Ren might be here. This is the TIE Echelon ship, so this could be his ship. We saw Chewbacca walking around. As you saw, I visited with R2-D2. There are going to be a lot of characters. So yeah, you can expect the very immersive experience walking around and talking to all of those who inhabit Batu here.
Okay,
Back to you.
Ashley, nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So who's excited to go visit? That looks like a lot of fun. Hopefully it comes to the East Coast in the near future as well. So those of us who travel down to Orlando can get there. You're looking live at Ultimate Doppler Radar. You see the first batch of rain has made it to central Pennsylvania. We do expect more storms today. So let's make sure you keep an eye on the forecast. I do see, it looks like there might already be some delays out of Philadelphia International. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, we do still have some overcast skies down at the Jersey Shore, so watch your visibility as you drive. Any place where the fog remains thick until the sun burns it off today. We're going to sign off for now. Thank you for watching Fox 29 News Now. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.